Geoholic.
Happy Oktoberfest, buddy.
We made it. Happy Oktoberfest.
Pretty much uneventful, but we made it to INTERGEO 2024.
We did a little fun things getting set up.
There's always fun things, though. Sean,
you need a certain size table to do a podcast.
So what you're telling me is like a 2x2 doll-sized table doesn't work for recording a podcast.
I mean, also on the video, somebody can see the video. This table is still small, and somehow the one they gave us was even smaller.
It's like a third of the size.
Yeah. We would have been huddled around like a small child's table.
Yeah. And as long as there's not like, CCTV around here, I think we're okay.
Wouldn't be evidence of us
maybe a video of us carrying a table through the conference.
We are at a geospatial conference, and there is I don't know.
Blimps,
there is something flying around everywhere, and all of it has probably the best camera technology possible.
Yeah, as well as a 4D scanner of some sort.
Yeah. However, they probably weren't looking at us borrowing a table from the nice people here at this venue.
What's one table? Nobody's going to know.
No one's going to know.
Anyways, man, oh man, what a great experience so far.
I know, right? Day one.
Yep.
Just getting here. You got here yesterday.
I did. I think. I don't even know what day it is. I got here Sunday. Today's Tuesday.
Yeah. So no, you've been here for a day.
Yeah. No, I'm like right now, as far as like my sleep schedule, I got 10 hours of sleep the first night. I got another 10 hours of sleep last night.
So you should be good.
As you well know, because I was late this morning.
Yeah, just a little bit, but we made it. Everything's good. We're fine. I mean, we actually like the place to get a little lively before we get
make
here.
Our entrance.
We're kind of like the talent media, kind of show up whenever we want.
Or kind of like the town joker. One of the two. I don't know yet. But I'm looking forward to the next 3 days. It's going to be amazing. And let's have some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it. See who we can talk to, see who we can meet. Let's
All right. Good morning.
Morning.
Are you excited to get this rolling?
I am.
Our first interview of the day.
Yes. Very excited.
Gotta. What do they call? Pop the cherry?
Yeah.
All right. Let's do that. We have our first interview. Let's do a quick introduction. Just give us your name, who you're with, and kind of what you do.
Cool. Hi guys. And thanks for having me. My name is Joerg Hahn. I'm a sales director with Oracle Construction Engineering.
Okay.
And I'm here to visit clients and see about companies that have synergies with us and how we can help each other.
Nice. Well, you're in the right place.
Yeah. Where are you based out of?
Well, I mean, we're globally set up, but right over here, our German headquarters is in Munich.
Okay.
Nice. I was thinking about going to Munich on Friday for Oktoberfest, of course.
I was going to say.
Just for the day, yes. But they have one in Stuttgart that starts on Friday.
Yes, they
it's
do.
It's supposed to be like the second biggest one.
Yes, it is.
So I think I'm just going to hang out here.
Equally good. And if you guys have hotel reservations already here,
we do.
Then do, because it's going to be tough getting some.
Okay. Interesting. All right.
Yeah. Well, decision made.
Yeah, right. You said that you're looking for other companies that you can have synergies with. What does that look like, and what does a synergy look like with companies here?
Yeah, right. I think for starters, so from the Oracle side of things, like people know us for databases,
right?
But not really for construction and engineering, right? So we do sort of software around planning, constructing and operating assets, scheduling or common data environments, BIM supporting, and there's stuff that we do and there's stuff that we don't do. And, so our clients normally come and say, I've got a project. We need a drone, with, support XYZ. Do you guys have something? And we don't, but, we've got partners in an ecosystem, and it's just good to meet these people and see about their experiences and whether we can work, together in the future. So a lot of these guys have Oracle databases for geospatial applications. So it's equally good to find out about what these guys are doing, because we're just selling a database, but we want to find out more about what the real life applications are.
Yeah. So the partners, that you guys work with, how do they benefit from working with you in Oracle?
Yeah, I think technology wise, it's sort of seamless data integration, because what we're really good at is sort of managing data and then reporting on data and also connecting data. So a lot of the projects that we're involved in, they're using a common data environment or our scheduling tools. And they need, to flow data into other systems or get data directly from their drones or from their capturing devices, I guess. And so what they're getting is sort of a very professional company that understands data and how to make data flow according to the requirements of the clients, I guess. We bring large clients to them sometimes.
Yeah, sure.
Because very security sensitive companies or larger corporate environments, they'll choose us over a smaller startup or so.
Well, because you're already managing their data anyway.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So there's probably other companies doing what you guys are doing. And I would imagine that, Oracle being a very large company, probably costs a little bit more than some of the smaller companies, but many times you get what you pay for, right?
I mean, sometimes, we hear the budgets that people set aside for solutions that we're offering. And I think all I'm saying is, if you buy peanuts, you get monkeys.
Yeah, right.
That's great.
And I think there's also a huge consolidation happening with the IT vendors in the market. In some of the smaller companies, they may be cheap at first, but a lot of them get bought up or go bankrupt throughout the duration, particularly of infrastructure projects like we have here.
Right.
You got 7 to 10 years of sort of project duration. And if the company gets bought by another company or bankrupt after 5 years, you may have saved up on some money up front. But
exactly,
I think we're in a size right now where no bigger fish is going to buy us, and we're around to stay.
Yeah.
And that's some stability that you can offer that a lot of other people can't.
Absolutely. Yes. But I think equally you'd be surprised, price wise, that sometimes it's not that much of a difference, but it's, if you want to do everything and get everything sort of involved or connect all your data, then it becomes a bit more pricey, but there's always a benefit,
Sure.
towards that.
Yeah. So talk about some developments, kind of in the arena that you work in. Is it like big data stuff, managing massive files and things like that? Talk about what's happening in that arena of things.
Right. So I mean, what we're seeing in projects where, what we see right now also with the occurrence of BIM, there's more data coming to projects. Sort of our solutions are normally used by every company on a project. You get the architects, the entire consultants, project management company, main contractors, subbies, vendors, and so on. They all need to use the same tools, and the amount of data that goes on there has increased by 10, 25%. Also, the amount of data that we're putting into schedules, because the schedules are being loaded with a lot of extra metadata and so on. And so that is a big change. It gives different requirements or expectations from clients, what they're going to do with the data, how they're managing it. And there's a lot more focus on how can we use the data in the long run, operations from the owner or asset owners. And so I think currently what's happening a lot of times is people are realizing we need more data. How do I put this into a contract? How do I buy or procure data from the company that are building stuff for me? And how do I talk to the people that are actually going to do all the operation stuff, the facility management and so on down the line, and how do I get their requirements and how do I connect systems? And I think that's currently what's happening. And it's wonderful for us to be in that situation, because like we come with an open mind and say, you don't need to use Oracle. You've got systems in place that are solving the job for you and that your teams are used to. Let's connect this. So you've got to have a single source of truth for all the data that comes together and need to manage it. And there's some security layers around it. And particularly if you have 200 companies working on a project, you want to make sure that everyone only sees what they're allowed to see and do. But at the same time, you don't go talking to people about here's a product, here's a requirement, but you guys need to manage all of this together. And you're doing this in 5 to 25 or 50 tools, and let's talk about where it makes sense to connect data.
Yeah. You mentioned schedule a couple times, I'm just curious, how do you pull in more data, or what does the data do in building a schedule? It's like pulling in from all the different subcontractors that are on a schedule, or what's the application there?
Right. So I think, for starters right now, there's a lot more detail that is being planned. So you want to, people start loading schedules with not just level 1, 2, 3, plannings, but, go sort of to lean scheduling and do sort of 6-week sprints. So there's a lot of more data on a day-to-day basis that's coming in. I think that's one. The other thing is that, there's BIM modules being linked to the schedules. So there's a lot more data flown between this. Sometimes there's live sensors with sort of middleware that get fed into this.
So is that like if the schedule says, this task is going to be completed, it's not someone going in there and marking it complete. It's the BIM model that shows that it's complete in real time?
Like alternative delivery type thing.
Yeah. We've got, for instance, with our ecosystem network, we've got a partner called Concur, and what they do is they have an application for cement. And sort of the partnering we do is, or normally clients, when they're on a construction site, you need to make inspections once the cement is dry. But you can only make the inspection once it's really dry. So you got to figure out when the right moment is to do this. And sometimes the waiting, and it's just idle time when nothing's happening. So they have a sensor in there, in the cement. And essentially it's saying now I don't know the English words, but the solidity of the cement has reached,
it's cured.
Exactly. So it's ready to be inspected. And normally there's an inspection form. It automatically fills out everything. So you don't need to manually go in and do the physical inspection, and you don't need to feed it back to your schedule.
Okay.
And at the same so that could be for the inspection portion, but it's equally, there's a milestone or an activity item in your schedule that says, inspect the concrete floor. And that also gets fed back to say it's done.
That's amazing. Sean's a geotech engineer.
Yeah.
So don't let all your inspectors know their jobs are about better.
That is just going to be the sensors in there. But it's basically automating that back end part of, the sensor will tell you when that's ready. And then that milestone is automatically fed into the system, and then you just keep going. You don't wait for someone to have to call somebody to tell somebody else that, and then generate a report. It's all there. I mean, that's days easily.
And I wouldn't say that people are losing their jobs, so they're redundant, but those companies, they can now do more construction sites or take on more work.
Yeah. Right.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. What are you excited about for the next 3 days?
I'm excited about hearing more about the applications of AI and BIM. And I think today there's also the BIM Tage Deutschland. So there's a lot of sort of BIM speeches at the conference and people to network with or exchange with. And on the aerial or sort of drone side of things, I'm interested to see, sort of what new applications they have come up with.
Okay. Yeah. That's great. Anything else, Sean?
No, I'm excited.
Yeah.
That's a good way to kick it off.
Appreciate your time. Great to meet you, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you.
One more time. It's Oracle
Construction Engineering.
Nice.
Yeah. And quote of the day: you buy peanuts,
you get monkeys. Love it.
Thank you, guys. Have a great time at the conference.
Let's do it again.
One more time. All right. Real quick, just give us your name, who you're with, and what you did.
Sure. I'm Sid. I'm from Pointly. I'm head of operations there. At Pointly, we do point cloud classification with AI. We built a cloud platform to do that. And we are working for all kinds of companies in construction, utilities, also for governmental. So we work with all kinds of laser data typically. And
okay.
My role is to manage all of that and put all the right persons together.
You get to manage all of that.
No, we're a small company. We are a spin-off of a larger data science consulting company.
Okay.
Pointly is still quite young. We are been founded 2021.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a spin-off, and I'm bringing together the right parties and getting the project requirements up, setting up the project itself, exchanging data, and combining all of that with our data scientists doing.
Wow. Excuse the drone in the background. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's
Oh yeah, it's like
they're all over the
like
place.
there's like drones going everywhere.
So what makes Pointly a really good solution?
Yeah. We train specialized AI models to do the classification for all kinds of 3D point clouds, and we built a platform especially for that. So we set up in the very beginning a platform for creating training data to do the manual classification. That's where we need to get started for training a good AI model. And we basically started from scratch. We come from the perspective of data science and build a solution for that. And later on, we added the automatic classification in the cloud so that we can upload really large data sets. We have the scalability and not only get a very high accuracy, but we can also combine that with a very good viewer. We can do the manual corrections for any kind of misclassifications. Like even when we reach very high accuracies, there would still be you still need to do the checks and potentially do the correction. So we combine all of that. We also combine our workflows for AI-based classification with some of the more traditional rule-based models. So, you don't need to throw everything over and just do AI, but it's always good to build on some elaborated models to do vegetation analysis, to do building classification, and basically validate your AI classification with that and increase the accuracy in that. That's what we need. Very good to classified point cloud.
Gotcha.
What's the most common or the most sought after classification, category, do you think? Is it all vegetation that people want, or what do people want the most?
Yeah, we work a lot with ALS data, and vegetation is very important, as same as for ground in buildings. But also power lines, towers, street inventories. We also work with Deutsche Bahn, so in the railway sector, doing all the infrastructure extraction like poles, rails. So it's a very broad spectrum.
Interesting.
So is it a standalone platform? Is it a subscription? What does the business model look like?
We have a subscription model for the cloud platform. This includes like the viewer, our standard classifiers, and all the manual classification tools. But we also do for the larger projects simple API classification, so we can send a whole bunch of data over. It will be classified in parallel, so we ramp up the number of machines. We can classify thousands of square kilometers in a week, and the results will just be back on the server where we need to be.
Okay. And so who are most of your customers?
We work very closely with surveying companies.
Yeah.
So they produce the data and want to have a better and faster classification in the end to deliver that to their end clients. But as mentioned, also we work with Deutsche Bahn. We work with Ordnance Survey, or specifically with cities who want to classify data from their cities, basically. So City of Munich, City of Helsinki are some of our clients. And there's a lot of room also with highway classification. Basically everywhere where we have either very large areas or many kilometers of data. Same for power line surveys. Then we can apply this AI-based classification.
So does it make more sense on bigger areas to use the AI model than a smaller one? I mean, is there where at certain scale, I'm guessing it starts to make more sense, right?
Yeah, because we, as mentioned, we need to start at some point with the training data generation to train the AI model. If we just have one building and we classify it to train a model,
oh, you don't have enough.
We already have done.
By the time you've trained it, you're done. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And you guys have a global presence, right?
Yes,
you're in North America, because I think we've talked to some Pointly folks
have we?
Before. I think so.
No. Our headquarters is in Berlin, and all of our developers are there. So we have no other subsidiaries.
Oh, okay.
Maybe not.
But our clients are like.
Are you finding most of the survey companies are going to a cloud-based company like yours to do all the processing?
It depends. Like a lot of companies rely on the more traditional methods of processing stuff locally, but more and more are looking into AI and want to not only do send everything over to a data annotation company who does the job manually, because that kind of work is just lost, and they do it for the project, and when it's lost. When we do manual classification for the training data annotation, it will be fed into a model that becomes better over time. And for the next project, we don't have to do the same thing again. We can just use this model. We don't have a ramp up time anymore. And all the manual work is actually for something substantial.
So you give a discount for repeat clients?
There will be no one-time cost for the second time. Yeah, that's the idea. Long-term partnerships. Yeah.
So what are you excited about right now, moving forward?
We want to work more with drone data in the future. But this is something where I think the quality of laser scans is increasingly getting better. Especially like we've seen the DJI-2 like 2 years ago, something like that. They came up, and so that opens up a new field of possibilities. So that's one thing. Another thing is a very big upcoming project for a digital twin in Germany. We are working with a surveying company who creates like parts of the scans, and we will be their partner for processing that kind of data.
Wow!
So that is now a new scale of large areas where we are talking about really big data. It's exciting.
We need to start a digital twin Arizona thing.
I think so.
Maybe we're onto something here.
Can you tell us more? What is digital twin Germany?
We have a BKG Bundesamt for Cartography and Geodesy in Germany. They are starting a really big project now, or they have started it to fly the whole area of Germany with airborne laser scanning or airborne laser sensing data with a very high density of 40 plus points per square meter. And this whole data set should be classified in the end and have a unique or a homogeneous classification.
Whole country?
Yeah, the whole country, over 2 years. So
2 years.
It's quite ambitious.
That's nothing. 2 years to build a model of the whole country?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And they have split it into different lots. So there will not only be one company flying and providing the data, but several ones in parallel. So.
And then how do you mash those all together with everyone doing their own thing?
I think that's the requirements are quite strict, like how to deliver the data. But I think there will be another tender to build a platform to collect all of that.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's what I heard, at least.
That sounds like an incredible project,
right?
Yeah, awesome. Anything else you want to get out there?
Yeah, so you started in 2021.
Yeah,
you're 3 years in.
And we've been to INTERGEO every year. Now this year we are finally out of the startup zone and we have our own big booth.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's a big step for us.
So where do you see the company going in the next 3 to 5 years?
We definitely want to process more data and get more of those large projects. We have really set up everything from the start to be scalable, to manage that big amounts of data. And of course, we are constantly increasing our models. We are increasing the performance and accuracy. That's the goal for an AI company in the end.
Yep.
And make our clients happy.
So how do people find out more about Pointly?
We are on LinkedIn, so we post a lot. Just look for Pointly, you will find us, or on Pointly AI.
Perfect.
Pointly AI. Awesome.
Well, thank you for your time, Sid. Great to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Good to be here.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right.
Moving right along,
This
right?
is the 3 for the day already.
I know. I'm excited.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited about this conversation. I was walking by their booth and I'm looking at all this incredible technology they have.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear about it.
It's some super fancy stuff over there.
So real quick, if you would, Karim, just self-introduction, give us your name, who you're with, and what you did.
Great. Thank you very much. Nice to be here. Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Kent. My name's Karim. I'm the UK and EU sales manager for Autel Robotics.
Autel Robotics. And tell us about Autel. What do you guys do?
So Autel Robotics was founded about 10 years ago.
Okay.
We started in the consumer range of aircraft, and more recently we've pivoted about 3-4 years ago into enterprise drones, which is really what you're kind of being attracted to on the booth today.
Yep.
So the Evo range, which we use for photogrammetry, 3D modeling, our fixed wing drone, which you would have seen, the Dragonfish, and then some new releases. So the Autel Alpha, which is our kind of 6.2 kilo L35T sense on it. So it's a 35 times optical and an amazing 560 times hybrid zoom.
Wow.
And the Titan, which is over there, which is our heavy lift aircraft.
Yeah.
Where the box can actually come off the bottom. You could put something else on there, like a scanner of some description if you wanted to. So 35 kilo maximum takeoff mass.
35 kilos.
That's amazing.
Sizes and everything. So we've actually gone smaller as well. So our latest release is the Evo Light Enterprise, which comes in at a whopping 866 grams. Is C1 for the European market, and comes in 2 flavors. So it comes with either a 6K Pro camera or a 640 by 512 thin.
Wow. This guy's good. I want to buy like one of each already.
I know, right?
So,
So you said you pivoted to the enterprise market. So previously it was just, have fun with this thing flying around and your little toy that you get for Christmas. Now it's geared mostly towards businesses, right?
Yeah, that's right. And public safety.
Okay.
Border security, those kind of roles as well. We kind of specialize in like long endurance, IP rated aircraft that are very secure. We are a Chinese company, but all of our servers for firmware updates are based here in Europe. They're in Amsterdam. And so we really kind of hammer home on the security side, the safety side. We've never geofenced our aircraft, for example. You can, if you wish to. It's a user definition to do that. We don't do that for you as a manufacturer. We never have. It's one of the selling points for Autel. But we have a really significant, large user base that are very loyal to the brand, and we're growing the market with bigger drones, smaller drones that do different things for different reasons, because no one should be beholden to a single brand. We don't all just drive the same car. We don't go to do some DIY and only use the same screwdriver. You should be able to use the tool that you want to. So whether that's Autel or any of our competitors, that's brilliant. Go for it.
Yeah. So well said. I love that. And you mentioned your competitors, because there's a lot of other booths that look very similar to yours. And, really cool hardware and stuff like that. So what separates Autel from them?
Yeah, it's a really great question. So for us, our scalability, so we manufacture at scale. We are the second largest drone manufacturer globally. The security side, the safety side, and the tools that we give users to be able to define what they want to be able to do with our aircraft, to gather the data that they need to gather. So whether that's for surveillance or public safety or policing, or whether that's for photogrammetry or some other geo task, then the user has the full capacity to do that. What really sets us apart then is that kind of big scale ability to create and manufacture and innovate. And we've got some amazing innovations on our aircraft with regards to things like obstacle avoidance, where we have millimeter wave radar. So the aircraft can actually see ahead way beyond the ability of a pilot, and then take avoidance action to preserve the life of the aircraft as a way of mitigating the threat to the aircraft. To lots of other types of innovations as well. We're the first manufacturer to deploy what we've called AMesh. So unlike like a drone show, where a computer is talking to all of the aircraft individually, one-to-one, telling it where to go, what light to put on, those kind of things. If you consider all of the ground control stations and each of the aircraft as a node, then on the AMesh, all of the nodes talk to every other node in real time. So they're exchanging telemetry data, they're exchanging health data, they're exchanging transmission data. And that enables you to then be able to do lots of things. So an example, you want to do a survey of a very large area very quickly. For example, let's say it's a rail environment. You don't want to have to possess the line for a very long time or stop trains operating. You need to get quite low to get a very accurate survey. Instead of doing that for 2 hours with one aircraft, you can now do that for 15 minutes with 5 aircraft, all working cooperatively together.
That's genius, because they're meshed together. Correct. Is that the idea? Okay.
So when you, as the pilot, are planning a mission on the AMesh, you would literally as if you were planning it for one aircraft. And then what happens is the AMesh calculates the optimum routing heights to achieve the GSD that you want to do for your survey, for example. And then what you'll see on your ground control station is each of the aircraft comes up in a different color code. And you can approve that mission, or you can ask for different suggestions. You can set different parameters. Once you're happy, you slide to take off, and each of the aircraft will take off independently. They'll then form a network in the sky, and then they'll go off and they'll just conduct the mission that you've told them to.
Instead of like one computer going to each one and planning all that out. And that's software that you guys develop.
Absolutely. It's all proprietary software. And then we went a stage further because we really want to kind of hammer down on the enterprise solution. So we're trying to provide the best solution for the user. So we also have developed, and users can come and see our software in action on our booth today, a piece of software called Autel Mapper. An Autel Mapper is subscription-based, so you can buy it per month or per year. It's free for 90 days from our website. And you can use any telemetry data from a mobile phone, from a different drone manufacturer, whatever you want. As long as it's telemetry data, you can put that into Autel Mapper, and it will give you 2D and 3D output. Further, it can become a node on the mesh, which means, for example, if you're doing an accident investigation, instead of deploying one aircraft onto the highway, taking 25 minutes with the road closed, it's very expensive, very dangerous, want to open the road back up, you can deploy 3 drones to do that crash investigation. It takes 10 minutes, probably less. By the time the 3rd aircraft arrives on the deck, you will have a 3D model through our software.
Oh, wow.
Because it uses the telemetry and the transmission data through the mesh.
That is incredible.
Yeah,
this is next level stuff, Sean.
I know.
Sean's mouth just dropped.
I know. It's like
I'm interested in that reaction.
Well, so now I had like a million questions.
Sure, yeah.
The first one was, it's a softball, but how do you come up with the names? Is there like a committee, you know, like how do you get like Titan or like, because they seem like those cool names.
Warhawk.
Yeah.
It's actually a really great question. I'm going to be really honest with you, because it was probably going to be my second point behind the scalability of us as a company. Is actually we're large enough to make lots of drones at a reasonable price. We're also small enough to be super agile. So we're a company of like 1,400 people. So when we want to name our products, or we want to innovate our products, or listen to our users and do quick changes to our firmware or our hardware, we can do that really quickly and agilely, and that includes naming our products. So it is a by committee, I suppose.
So you're small enough to have fun with it, but
yeah.
large enough to be a player in the market. Yeah.
Those ideas go into a poll, and we add ideas, we take ideas away, we shoot ideas down, and then it goes obviously to other teams to look at to make sure that we're not crossing any borders with intellectual property. Someone else hasn't created it, that kind of stuff. And as long as we're happy, then we've got a name.
Nice. All right, so I had a second question, and you stumbled on it in that last response. But you mentioned developments in hardware, and then also software developments. Where are you guys pushing more now, or where do you think the future is? Is there bigger and smaller, or more applications and more software developments that, like the mesh deal, or like that's really a great way to use your product?
Yeah. It's a fantastic question we could do a podcast for an hour on just that.
Sure.
That's just that question. We go where the users tell us to go. So we continue to innovate and come up with ideas. Then we'll discuss them with kind of trusted end users that are loyal to the brand, that have been customers of ours for a long time, who also critically use other aircraft.
Okay.
Who are in a wide range of use cases, and we collect feedback from them. So just this morning, I've been speaking to kind of in person as well as on the phone, users who are in mapping, public safety, border security, some people at the booth, which were from coastal protection, coastal survey, dolphin protection. Wow, chaps here.
Oh, yeah.
So we take those learnings, we discuss them, and if there are common themes and feedbacks, then we implement them really quickly into our firmware. So generally, we release firmware for our aircraft on a monthly basis, just basic updates. If we get that feedback in and we can get that out, we generally do it the firmware after next. So normally there's no more than like a 2 or 3 month wait for something that's really important.
Interesting. So I think you asked the question that I'm going to ask, just in a roundabout way. A person in your position, you have all these different solutions. How much of your time is spent like educating your clients?
That is a fantastic question. So my role really is to grow brand awareness and interest in the use of drone applications. And I see that as an ambassador for the industry, to show people that you can do things with different tools, and that we're a manufacturer of a tool, and there are other manufacturers of tools that may look similar, but they're different again. So there is a lot of education, but my primary focus is on the people who resell our products.
Gotcha.
And then my job is to support them, supporting the end user.
Okay. Gotcha.
So that can be through brand marketing and awareness, as well as training events. So we do, events like here, and then I'm already booked in for the next couple of months to do training days with different resellers of ours, so that they can then spread the good word of drones and of Autel Robotics to their customer base.
Yeah. It sounds like a pyramid scheme to me.
It really does.
How do we buy in?
I think we're at the ground level right now.
All right. I'm good, man. I could talk for hours, but this is incredible.
Well, we always talk about what you're excited about, and what do you see in the next few years that that we'll be at the show in 3 years or something like that.
That's great. Do you know? And this might sound cliche, and you might ask this question all the time, and the fact is, I don't know. That's why I get up in the morning. That's why I enjoy what we've done. So I've been in the drone industry for nearly 10 years. Is that I don't know what tomorrow looks like. We just want to listen, learn, and coming to events like this and seeing lots of other people doing lots of interesting things. Think, oh, that's a great sensor. Have you thought about putting that on a drone? No, we haven't. Oh, let's have a conversation. That's the thing, I think. So I have no idea what's going to happen in 3 years' time.
But that's actually a great, honest answer, because things are developing at such a rapid pace.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows?
I do know that AIs won't be taking over podcast hosting, so that's fine.
We are safe.
Job security.
Job security.
Yeah. All right, fantastic. Well, Karim, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah,
it's a great conversation.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Well, that was annoying. What the heck was that?
Well, you get a lot of random sounds in a place like this.
Drones whirling overhead and balloons and all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah.
So, all right, we got another great conversation lined up here. Real quick, if you would, Jeremy, just do self-introduction, give us your name, who you're with, and what you do.
Yeah. Hey, guys, I'm Dr. Jeremy Sofinia.
A doctor. That's not on your name tag. It is on your name tag.
First one of the day.
I'm a principal on the product applications team. So basically, I'm involved in understanding our customers, what they're trying to achieve, what their pressure points are, and how our product hover map can maybe solve some problems for them. I work for a company called Emesent, and we're based in Brisbane, Australia, but we have colleagues and partners all over the world.
Nice. So what does a typical day look like for you?
That's a great question. And that's probably one of the reasons I love my job, is that there is really no typical day. On this particular trip, I'm here in Germany at INTERGEO. Last week, I was in the UK training up some guys. Before that, I was at a mining expo in South Africa. So it's quite.
Are you guys hiring?
Yeah, right.
Do you need like a full-time assistant there or anything? That sounds like an amazing job.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I get to do some neat things.
Yeah. So you said you're from Ohio. We were talking before we jumped on.
Yeah, born and bred.
And you live in Brisbane, right?
Yeah, back in Australia.
About half the year because you're traveling all over the place the rest of the time.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All right. So you said you get to do some cool things, and you're on the product application team, or
Yeah.
you lead the product application team.
Pretty much.
So we got to ask, what are some of those cool things that you get to do, or can you give us some case studies?
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of our core markets is in underground mining, right? So I've been in underground mines all over the world, and sometimes you get to talk to people about that, and I'm like, that's amazing. You've been underground in Canada, you've been underground in Australia, you've been underground in China. And I say, yeah, but once you go underground, it kind of all looks the same.
Yeah, it's dark, it's scary.
Yeah. And I had another project where we were mapping a sewer tunnel in Switzerland. And what people hear from that is, oh, Switzerland. I'm like, did you not hear the part about the sewer tunnel? Right. But I think that one of the cooler projects that I had done prior was there's a group of churches in London called Wren Churches. This is an architect who designed, some of the famous buildings in London. And they needed some scaling done in the attic of this domed church. And I was on my stomach, crawling around, pushing the hover map in front of me as I went, trying to scan this small space in the attic. Wow. And it was one of those situations in life where you think, I never thought I would be doing something quite like this,
Right? Yeah, no doubt.
Life has taken some strange turns to find yourself in this kind of position. Yeah.
Well, I mean, in the industry you're in, as far as the technology side of it goes, I mean, it's advancing so rapidly. Like you never know where you're going to find yourself next and what kind of application you're going to be using it.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, laser scanning has really exploded over the last several years, and the variety of applications that we're in is diverse, right? So you have construction projects, you've got oil and gas, mining that I mentioned before. It's even used in Hollywood films. I mean, our product has been used in the James Bond and the Star Wars series and things to make those visual effects. So you never really know what the next day is going to bring because the market is so diverse.
Yeah. Yeah. So do people come to you with problems and then it's your job to figure out the best solution?
They come to me specifically if they have a new use case and we're not sure whether or not it's going to be a good fit or that it's going to solve that problem. And the reason that they come to me is because of the experience that I have. I tell them I have like a library of knowledge. I don't have this. I'm not God's gift to anything, right? I'm not that special, but I have the experience to be able to say, we haven't done anything quite like that, but we've done something similar where if we take that approach, it'll probably work and we can run this. It's almost like an experiment, right?
Yeah.
And if it works, great. Let's move forward. Let's work out the workflows. Let's find the deliverables. Yeah. If it doesn't work, then let's investigate to see what we can do to improve our product or try to, match it with other products to try to fit that, to tick that box. Yeah.
So have you ever found a case where it just didn't make sense? I mean, I'm assuming, if you're good at your job, it's going to be...
Yeah, well, the first one that comes to mind is when people are just talking on super large scales.
Okay,
right? So
sure. Yeah.
I get a guy, he says, we really want to save money. We don't want to deploy a real helicopter to the middle of Malaysia. And I'm like, okay, I'm listening. All right, well, it's 600 square kilometers. Like, yeah, no, we're not going to use a drone for that.
You're not crawling around your stomach and pushing that all around?
Yeah, well, even if you use the drone, right? I did some back of the envelope calculations. Like, it'll take me a year to complete that. Just get a real helicopter.
Right? Yeah, right.
So usually it's spatial scale oriented, or if they want to try to penetrate through something, they want to see through the ground or see through walls. There's different tools for that, like ground penetrating radar, right?
Yeah, sure.
The LiDAR is a reflective device. So if you can't see it with your eye, you're not going to pick it up with the LiDAR. So yeah, it's just when the use case doesn't really fit the model of the tool.
Got it. What's the story about Alcatraz? Was there a mapping project you worked on there?
Yeah, that was amazing. Oh, what a neat opportunity. It's something that you don't get asked to do all the time. One of our, we refer to him as an ambassador, but a gentleman named Pete Kelsey in the U.S. Has connections with the National Park Service. And for those who may not be aware, that Alcatraz is part of the national parks.
Oh, okay.
Golden Gate National Park, to be specific, right? And he had developed this opportunity over the course of a year, getting all the requisite permissions to fly drones there and access parts that are inaccessible to the general public. And I'd known Pete for a couple of years, and he recognized that our product, that hover map that I mentioned earlier, is a specialist in these GPS denied places. So my role there was to capture all the internal areas, so inside the cell house,
inside the accommodation units, inside the power station or the factory floors that the men used to be put to work in. Most of it was inaccessible to the general public. And the idea behind it was about completing the most, establishing the most complete 3D model of Alcatraz that has been done to date. So he not only brought me and Emesent to the team, but also other players in the market. So like Regal and others that Phoenix LiDAR that have drone capabilities that were suitable for that task. So I was there to get the internals, and it was a really trippy experience.
That's amazing. So there's a lot of collaboration that had to take place.
Yeah, 100%. And so Pete was project managing that, and kind of we were let loose to get into those areas where otherwise you're not permitted to be, right?
Yeah. You had to see some cool stuff.
Yeah, you know, the first couple of days were really kind of an eye-opener, right? Because there's really no accommodation on the island today. I mean, it was built for accommodation if you think about it, but that's all been taken away. But we didn't want to disturb the general public, right? They're there to have an experience, and they don't need me waving around a laser scanner in their face. Plus, we didn't really want them in the data set anyway.
Right.
So what would happen is that the tourists would arrive in the morning, they would stay through the day, and then they would leave in the evening. So to have the place without people, we had to stay overnight. So so we slept in the cells.
Awesome.
We slept in the cells, which is a really special experience. But it was really surprising because on the first night, you're laying there, it's dark, there's no lights, you're wearing a head torch just to see. It's like camping, but in a prison. And the foghorn is going. I don't know if you've ever been to San Francisco, but you can hear the foghorns. There's no lights. You can see the bars, kind of just the glow through the window. And you realize that you're sleeping in a cell in D block in solitary confinement.
Unbelievable.
Zero chance I'm sleeping at all that night.
You're like, oh my God, this is what it was like for these people that were in here.
Yeah, but that also meant, we were waking up at 4:00 in the morning because we wanted a couple of hours of scanning before the public turned up. So that was mostly what we would do, like with the cell house, right? Because that's a major hub for the tourists to come and be in that space. So in those early morning hours or those late evenings, we would be in those kind of public spaces. And then when the public would get there, we would retreat to those areas that were off limits. So we could keep ourselves busy. And I was really surprised. It is a massive facility. When we think of, we see the movies, we see the cell house. But there's a whole power station. There's these factories that I had mentioned for the guys to manufacture clothing and other products. The guards actually lived on the island. I didn't realize that.
Interesting.
But they didn't commute back and forth to San Francisco. Their families lived there.
Really?
There's a school there because kids have to go to school, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah, so we had to scan all of these.
Wow.
Right, so that was the objective, is to have the most complete scan of this place possible. The idea is historic preservation. It's an important place. It's about engineering, and it's also about possibly creating maybe the world's first virtual reality national park that you can visit in VR.
Well, that's what I was going to ask next. You're kind of good at this. You're kind of leading yourself, but what was the application to that model? I mean, I'm guessing now you have a full 3D model of Alcatraz.
We do, yeah. There's still a few bits and pieces that are coming together because all of this was done pro bono for the Park Service, right? So all the companies involved, including Emesent, we did this at our own cost, right? We didn't charge that. So what that also means is that I'm working on this in my free time, right? So weekends and in the evenings to put this together. And we're probably in the 90% done, but there's still a couple of little bits and pieces to tidy up.
Got it.
And then you're going to, that's what you think is you can make a fully immersive.
That's one of the
AR model
for sure. Yeah. So it wasn't just the equipment and hardware that was donated to the project. So capturing reality or reality capture software was donated, which you can start to amalgamate all of this data into one space. An AMD Threadripper, which is a beastie computer, was donated to the project because you're dealing with terabytes and terabytes of data. We captured some of the other teams, they captured photogrammetry as well, so putting all that together for that true color. There's a lot of data, and it all has to come together with the right software and the right PC to do it.
Red Ripper.
Yeah, cool name.
Yeah,
Cool
right.
name.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So what else? Yeah, what's new? What's new in the future?
What's new with Emesent? It's been a while since we've had a friend of Sophie's on. So what's new at Emesent?
Yeah, lots of things on the go as always. More ideas than time, as per usual. I think the first thing that comes to my mind is our new inroads in RTK. So HoverMap is a SLAM-based LiDAR sensor, which is how we operate in the GPS-denied environments, like underground in mines. But if you have good GPS, why don't we use it? And we're using it not only for georeferencing it, but that same correction or that RTK signal can be used to correct for drift and slip and slams. So we no longer need ground control points, which is actually pushing the boundaries on the spatial scales that we can operate at. So bigger projects, still not 600 square kilometers in Malaysia, but much bigger than what you might normally have with just a SLAM-based scanner.
Right.
Yeah. And we've recently rolled out 360 colorization, which I wish I had at Alcatraz, because before with a perspective GoPro, it has a limited field of view, right? So you have to point it at the floor, the wall, the ceiling. And if you imagine a room, you've got to show it the whole floor, the whole wall, the whole ceilings on all four sides and all that, right? With the 360 camera, it's really streamlined that workflow. We just walk in, kind of do a loop, and then come right back out. So that's making that acquisition of that color data so much easier now than before. Yeah.
So is that camera built into
no
unit? Like how does that all come together?
Yeah, so we use a GoPro 360 Max, and so it's a plug and play type of system.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and we went with that because of the quality of the imagery that we could pull out, but also the versatility of the system. We wanted to have people. At the moment, we weren't focused on integrated systems, right? So there's a time and a place where you want that, and a time and a place where you don't need it. So it gives people that option.
Yeah. Wow. Well, Jeremy, appreciate your time. Congrats on having one of the top 5 coolest jobs,
right? Easily
in the industry. I'm so freaking jealous.
Don't forget sewer tunnel.
Yeah.
Well,
sewer
yeah.
tunnel.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind. But anyways, great conversation.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks to Sophie.
Yeah.
For bringing you on. Appreciate
Cheers.
it. Yep.
Yeah. Enjoy the rest of the show. Thanks.
Ciao.
All right. We had lunch.
We had lunch.
It was great.
We're back.
Had pizza.
It was delicious.
Oh, I didn't have breakfast, so I was free.
We know. You're starting to get hangry.
Yeah. And a beer.
Yeah.
And a beer. We've got a great conversation lined up for you here. Real quick, we've got Peter. Peter, if you would just give us your name, who you're with, and what you do.
My name is Peter Terrett. I'm with a company called RapidMap Global. I work mainly in the hardware division called 4D Global.
Yep.
And I sell, support, train, and consult on all things GPS and now GNSS.
Okay. So a couple things to dissect there. First of all, before we jumped on, you said you've been working with GPS since when?
Early 1986, when they were the size of a small suitcase.
Yeah.
Cost $90,000. You needed 2 of them to be working at the same time to get an answer. Yeah. And there was only a couple of hours of the day when there were enough satellites available to actually use them. So we were getting up at 2:30 in the morning to go and catch the satellites.
So interesting.
So what were you using them for at that time?
We were using them for mapping control for 1 in 25-hour mapping in the west of Victoria, which was very flat and you couldn't generally see more than a few hundred meters in any direction. So it really came along at the right time.
No, sure.
Yeah. So you were doing like static then, right?
Absolutely. Static.
Yeah, static.
We would have to occupy a mark for over an hour to have enough information to process.
Mm-hmm. Well, so when did RTK come along?
Well, there was kinematic surveying before real-time kinematic surveying. Yeah. And I would say kinematic surveying, I first saw people trying to use it in about 1988. And RTK came along a bit later, sometime in the 90s. I didn't really concentrate on that part of surveying. That was very well looked after by a lot of the big companies, your Trimbulls, your Leicas, your Topcons, etc. And I tended to concentrate more on users who could now use location that weren't surveyors. And in fact, here we are 33 years later, and that's still my marketplace. People like archaeologists who are required by legislation in some places to any artifact that they dig up, they have to locate it to sub-meter accuracy. Possibly a pipeline company where the asset is buried and they want to be within a spade width when they go and dig it up. But they want to know even the height of it. Forestry is probably my biggest market. They're driven also by legislation in that they aren't allowed to remove any tree within 5 meters of a watercourse. So watercourse that they often can't see from their cabin. So Now it's all mapped out. They have an antenna on the end of the boom, and they know very well when they're within 5 meters of a watercourse.
That's amazing.
Interesting.
That's amazing. And in Australia, I mean, there's a lot of out in the middle of nowhere type surveying done in Australia. So GPS is probably an amazing tool for surveyors in Australia specifically.
Look, it really is, because when you get into those remote areas, often you can see long distances, but often you can't. But you have no infrastructure. You don't have the internet. You don't have a local base station. So a lot of the space-based services are making it a lot easier to bring control into areas that would have normally been cost prohibitive. People were doing star ops years ago to get their locations, and that was a pretty hard ask to get the kind of accuracy. We can literally now get down to 30 to 40 millimeters in the middle of nowhere, as long as we have a good view of the sky, and the corrections will come from a communication satellite, and the corrections will be for clock and orbit. So it's just a matter of doing a datum shift to get onto your fixed datum from the space datum.
Yeah, exactly. So I can remember, I'm aging myself a little bit, but I started using GPS probably 1993, somewhere around there. So you still had the challenges of making sure you had the correct configuration of satellites. And there was like certain times of the day where it was actually usable, you know, I mean, and now people that use GPS, I mean, we're so spoiled now, right?
Well, you just pull that out of the box and it just works, right?
Yeah.
We really are spoiled. The mission planning was a big thing years ago. You'd have to really look at when was the optimal time to be in those locations to do that job, and what blockages do I have to the sky, and you'd put those in as masks, and it would then calculate what you were probably going to get. We still, with GPS, there's 30-odd satellites in the GPS constellation, but in the sky. But what we generally see is between 7 and 11 satellites in view above 10 degrees above the horizon, and the average is 9 satellites. If you've got a couple of buildings or a couple of trees and you lose those, you can significantly degrade your performance and your accuracy. But with GNSS, the average with just the 4 global constellations, let alone the regional constellations, you're looking at an average of more than 40 satellites. And the increase in performance and accuracy, which is an increase in productivity, is absolutely outstanding. The amount of infrastructure that's gone on. When I first sold the differential corrections from space, it was $18,000 a year just to rent it. Now it's free with the SPAS. It's free.
That's so crazy.
It's the innovation blows my mind, and that's what still gets me excited about it all these years later. Like 1986 till now, I'm coming up to 40 years of hands-on GPS.
Yeah.
And the innovation just keeps me so motivated, so excited, and to find people who need location that aren't surveyors, that don't have a fundamental understanding, and to say, look, we're going to make it easy for you, and to see the way they learn quickly, because they're intelligent, they're an expert at something already, and they do really well, and I get a great sense of satisfaction and gratification out of it.
So real quick, you did mention before you came across your first GPS unit, saw what it could do, and immediately jumped into that business. We love origin stories here. Like, what made you get into this line of work and how did it start?
Okay, so I worked as a geodetic and topographic surveyor in Australia. In some countries, geodetic just means you're a surveyor, but geodetic is actually measurement of the Earth. So we worked over long ranges where we had to take the curvature of the Earth into consideration in all of our calculations, so that others could treat the Earth as a flat plane. And the other part of the job was topographic mapping. I love that job. I was the guy that did that job and really enjoyed it. But our state, the particular political party had spent a lot of money, and they got to the point where they had to get rid of a lot of public servants, and they tried all different things, and I was caught on the third one, which was last in, first out, because it was a highly specialised area. There was about 8 of us in the state, and I happened to be promoted 7 years earlier, which was not the intention to get rid of people that had been doing the job for 7 years, but I was redeployed, put onto special projects, and my special project was photocopying. And after being a geodetic surveyor with a 4-wheel drive with a big winch on the front and chains on all the wheels, and a couple of turfers and chainsaws and everything else, really was a great outdoorsy job. And so I decided I will capitalise, with the support of my wife, capitalise on my real love of what GPS was, where it was, and where I thought it was going to go. And it's served me very well. We now have about 30 employees that work across the whole spatial area. My youngest son has a degree in geospatial science.
Oh, wow.
My wife is a
That's
former a spatial technologies director of National Geographic in America. We went into business with National Geographic back in the early 2000s and developed software for homeland security, counter-terrorism, and post-disaster recovery. And it went really well until they had a GFC. They had their own little financial crisis.
Yeah.
Everything changed.
Yeah. So you mentioned it's almost like you differentiated GPS and GNSS. What do you mean? What's the difference between those two?
Okay, GPS is a system of satellites, and it's the first system. It was developed by the American Department of Defense for navigation, location, and timing anywhere on Earth 24 hours a day. The Russians then built a system called GLONASS. The Europeans built a system called Galileo. Chinese built a system called Beidou, also known as Compass. And those four systems now can all work together, so that instead of having only GPS and having an average of 9 satellites, you have all 4 constellations working simultaneously to provide a much greater answer. And like anyone who doesn't know what it does, it is phenomenal. It's phenomenal, but you can walk outside and do it right now. It's normal. Yeah. That's a word I made up in 2008.
Yeah, I like that.
Phenomenal. It truly is.
Yeah.
We used to have a system of base stations around the Australian coast for marine navigation, for nearshore marine navigation. And the idea was to take the 100 metres plus or minus, because back in those days we had purposeful degradation of the system for security reasons until Clinton took it off on the 1st of May 2000. But we were plus or minus 100 metres. So they put in the coastal base stations, which broadcasted the corrections to get those ships down to sub-metre so they could navigate near shore. And it covered most of the coast of Australia. When Clinton took it off, it went down to about 10 to 15 metres because we were still GPS only. If I go outside now and turn on a GNSS, I will get sub-metre without any correction source whatsoever, because there are so many satellites all working together to give us the geometry and the performance and the redundancy of when you do have a couple of blockages to the sky, there'll be a satellite just each side of where the blockage was. So your geometry is still great.
Wow.
Yeah. So one thing that's amazing to me, talking to you, so you're of let's say the older generation, but yet you're on the cutting edge of technology. How do you stay on top of all the changes that are happening so rapidly?
Well, I really concentrate on the user end, the person who's going to put their hands on it and wants to get what they need out of it in the field. And I can talk for hours about what that actually means. But if you're using space-based corrections that come from Inmarsat, you're getting clock and orbit corrections, and they are in a datum that is not aligned to your fixed datum on Earth. So you have to do a transition. So I have to be able to explain to someone that in Australia, if you use a space-based corrections, you are currently 270 millimetres northeast of the geocentric datum of Australia 2020. And it will change every year in our side of the country, about 60 millimetres. Every year it'll move further north. Yeah. And it becomes, after 26 years, it becomes like 1.7 metres. So it's quite significant. I only work in that area. I can't tell you about how they match cross phases with this and carrier waves and all that kind of stuff. I just know that we're coming into a time of high sunspot activity, so you have to let people know that they might get a bit more not randomness, but a bit more scintillation in their answers, etc. But that's to be expected. It's nothing to do with the quality of the receiver, although just the latest version of software in the receivers I have has got a lot of mitigation of that in there. It's been built in because we're coming into the high point of a 27-year cycle of sunspot activity. I think it's 27 years about. It is a cycle.
Phenomenormal.
Love it.
Yes. I am going to use that.
Yes. Please do.
Yes.
And if you can think of my older brother loved it so much, he put it on the back of his business card.
Really?
You just think about what we can do now, even with a smartphone. That you look at a bus stop, and if there's 10 people there, 9 of them will be scrolling on their phones, and they could be looking up the meaning of a word they've just come across the newspaper. They could be looking for where can they get their closest coffee. They could be booking tickets to a show. They could be looking at their holiday photographs. They could be corresponding with someone on the other side of the world. It is phenomenal. And location now is integrated into everything they do. Years ago, we didn't have location walking around. We didn't have it. And now it's in the palm of your hand, and people don't even realize that it is a thing. They just do it. Like breathing air.
Yep. Yeah. I love the excitement that you have about this. This is awesome. It's been a great conversation.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Anything else you want to get out there, Peter?
Oh, just hi to all my friends in Australia. I'll be home soon. So
awesome.
Yeah, and this INTERGEO is a great show. This is my 12th or 13th time over the years I've been here, and it's just where all the new stuff is happening. If it's here and you haven't said it before, it'll be commonplace in 3 years' time.
Wow.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. Well, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Great.
Thanks, guys.
I want to dance and drink beer right now.
Is that? Well, I mean, we're wrapping up, so it's about that time.
Oh man, what a great first day!
Really, really, really fun.
Yeah.
Give them a little intro. What do you want? We're live on YouTube.
Oh, are we live?
We are live on YouTube.
So you want to recap?
Yeah, we're gonna. I mean, this is finally the time.
Okay.
It's what is it? 8:30.
What is on your watch? First of all, like eggs or something?
I put it on like a random wallpaper on my watch.
Oh, weird.
I think it's about 7:30.
It was okay.
Arizona time.
Good morning,
yeah,
Geoholics.
Good morning, Geoholics, and the rest of the country.
Good evening if you're in Stuttgart.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in all over the world, whatever time it is where you are, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Great first day. Great first day. It's a little bit of a slow start. We had a couple hardware challenges.
Yeah. Got
furniture challenge.
Some furniture. Had to acquire some internet. Some of those things.
Acquire some internet. Commandeer a table.
Those things that you don't think about because we just show up and just do a podcast, and we don't think about logistics like everybody else around here has to, and plans for weeks, and we just hop on a flight and end up here.
May have mentioned it earlier on social media or something like that, but when we got here yesterday to set up, I'm like, how are they going to build all these things? Like, in less than 24 hours, they turned this into a small city.
It was yesterday was. Well, what time was it? About this time, about 4 hours ago. Yeah, 24 hours ago. And this did not look anything like it does now. I mean, it was like a construction site here. And we show up this morning, and it is just, everything's perfect. Everything's put together. All the lights are working. Drones are flying in the air.
Amazing.
It's pretty wild.
Such a cool place to be if you're anywhere near the geospatial arena of professions.
Yeah, absolutely.
My head spins every time we come to something like this because the technology just continues to advance and get bigger and stronger and sometimes smaller and faster. It's incredible.
And everybody that produces something, all the big makers are here. All the big software guys are here. I mean, and then somehow there's hundreds of other companies that are partners with all those, and everyone is just got something new and cool, and it is pretty wild, and it's a great venue. I love this place.
Great venue.
Yeah,
it's like a global geospatial family.
Yeah, it really is.
Right.
And what's wild is like we were here yesterday, and then set up, and got here today, and immediately just started seeing people that we knew and recognized, and got connect with some. So a lot of our sponsors, which most of our sponsors are here. It's really good to connect with them and meet people in person for the first time. So
and thank them in person for everything they do for us.
Yeah, there's some of
we
our
wouldn't
sponsors
be here without them.
We've never met, and we've never gotten a chance to shake their hand and thank them personally. What was your favorite takeaway or interview today?
I had two things. The quote of the day: if you buy peanuts, you get monkeys.
I love that. Yeah.
And the new term of the day, phenomenormal.
Phenomenormal.
Yes. If that guy has not trademarked that.
He said that he
too bad.
He said he started using it in 2009, and somebody put it on a t-shirt or something. So
but it's
I'm sure
so
that's close enough.
applicable. to this technology. And now it's just normal. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. And it used to be like all these big data sets and, what are we going to do with this? And now it's like, we got it. We're just throwing out, terabytes here and there. No big deal. And processing here and processing this. And it's pretty wild.
Yeah. How about you? What's your takeaway from that?
I still can't quite get over the guy that scanned all of Alcatraz.
Oh,
and that story. That
Jeremy.
was wild.
Dr. Jeremy.
Yes. That was pretty amazing. And, it's one of our neighbors here at the show, Autel.
Amazing.
That guy came on and he talked about, the different like how they're going both ways. They have drones like this big and drones with a 35 kilo capacity,
which is insane.
And it's the stuff that they're on the software side that they're doing with all those. I mean, that's really cool stuff.
Doesn't it make you feel kind of insignificant?
Yeah. I was going to say like stupid, but the same. Like,
I like my word a little better.
I mean,
softens it up a little bit.
I mean, and everyone we talk to, one is super nice and super knowledgeable and passionate about, this industry, all the new technology, where it's come from, where it's going. I mean, it's just a lot of fun.
I think what we're trying to say is if you ever get a chance to come to INTERGEO, you should definitely do it.
Highly worth it. It's a save
up some nickels,
quick little easy flight over here across the pond, as they say.
Yeah.
But totally worth it.
Totally worth it. Other than that, I mean, I think that's a wrap for day one.
Yeah.
Let's go drink some Heineken with Hano.
I think I'll find our friends Hano and Ray. Yeah. And I know they have a secret Heineken keg back behind their booth that we were privy to see. And I believe that was an official invite for us.
So. I think we're going to go partake.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Until tomorrow.